and welcome to the Data Innovation Summit 2020 and to our keynote. My name is Steve Allison, and I'm from Adobe here in EMEA. In my keynote, I'll be speaking about the 4 major data hurdles in delivering real-time customer experiences: data preparation, data governance, connected data, and ontologies. I'll walk you through these hurdles and suggest ways to mitigate them and thereby enable your business to become an experience business. Let's get started.
Data. We love data. We collect data, we store data, we create data warehouses and data lakes. Why do we do that? What is it about the data that makes it so attractive to us? Well, actually, it's not the data itself. It's the fact that we use that data to personalize the interactions that we have with our customers. We create experiences for them. But who is the customer? In many ways, there's been a journey within digital transformation in our businesses, from the early days when we used cookies to read and write data and track people. We understood them because this cookie contained information that allowed us to recognize someone as being the same person that we saw yesterday. And then things got a bit more sophisticated, and we started to be able to recognize devices. So now I can recognize a device and how that device interacts with my website and how it comes back again and what it does on all of those different times when it visits my content. But these days, we're all about personalization. Personalization needs the business to understand who the person is, who are the people behind the devices. How do I find them? How do I understand them? How do I go from cookies and device IDs to actually understanding who the customer is as a person? And actually, that's a pretty big question because we understand customers in lots of different ways across lots of different kinds of business systems. They come to our website, they come into our stores. We've got CRM data, we have shopping data, we have loyalty card data, we have social data, we might have chatbot information and their reactions to the media that we put before their eyes. Lots of different data, all with different IDs. And that makes it quite a complicated thing to actually understand a person as a whole, because unlike the traditional customer lifecycle, these days, our customers are interacting numerous times a day across many different channels. There's no single way to access your content. There's no single piece of data, no single business system, which has all of that information that we need in order to do that personalization, that creation of the experience, to understand the person as a whole. And understanding the person as a whole is actually really important to us because what we've discovered is that people are buying experiences, not just the products. Products can be generic. Subscriptions can come from lots of different places. Obviously, not always. But it's the experience that we have that really makes a difference. So what do I mean by experience? Well, if personalization is getting the right message in the right format in front of the right eyes at the right point in time, then an experience is about all of those things put together over a period of time. So all of the individual pieces of personalization that you've done and how that comes together to create the entire experience of doing business with you, the story of your engagement with that customer. And all of that creates the experiences that drives your business. But having said that, it's not always easy to create those experiences. And there are 4 major barriers that stop us creating these real-time data-led experiences. The first of those is just identity. The disconnected nature of identities. Is it a name? Is it an email address? Is it a cookie ID? Is it something else? How do I discover who that person is with all of these different systems using different IDs? That becomes a major problem in identifying who our customers are as people. The second one is that of data governance not being enforced. Now, I maintain that the problem today is not data. We can collect data easily. We can store data easily. We can move data easily. The problem is not the data. The problem is understanding and being able to enforce what data can I actually use right here, right now, to make this personalization or recommendation or next best action for this person. That's the biggest problem facing us, in my opinion. And it's one that we can solve. It just takes a bit of forethought. The next area is that traditionally, artificial intelligence and machine learning has operated in silos. You get your data together, you push it into your data warehouse, you run your algorithms, you find your insights, you push those insights back into your front-end systems. Well, that's way too slow. Most of us have millions, if not trillions, of interactions with our customers across all of our different channels. Every week, every day, every year, that volume of data grows, and we need the artificial intelligence, the machine learning, in order to find those insights to enable us to make those decisions fast enough to actually affect what that person is doing next in the same session that we're having with them. So we need to bring the AI and ML out of the silos and make it part of the interaction that we have with users in real time. And that really brings us to the fourth one. Traditionally, data activation has been slow and inconsistent. When we need to share data, move data around, we need to be able to do that as fast as we capture it, as fast as we find those insights. We need to be able to share it with other systems. No delays, no transformations, no working out where it goes in other business systems, just moving the data as fast as feasible. So let's have a look at how we can solve some of these problems. Well, the first one is the whole thing about identities. There's a big discussion today about cookies and cookies going away. Well, actually, it's only third-party cookies that are going away. But in general, cookies are becoming less useful, and we need to start using other IDs. But the problem is, what ID? Every single one of these business systems or methods of engagement probably has a different ID. What if we could resolve all of those different IDs down to a single person? And that really is one of the trends these days, to build a profile, a personal profile, a unified profile around that person, the famous 360-degree view of a customer. If I know what the ID is of that data when it gets onboarded, then I can start to make links between, oh, this email has this cookie associated with it. Let's link that together as the same person. So I can start to bring in CRM data because I know who that customer is. I can start to bring in the IDs and the data from other systems and start to tie those together to build an identity graph based off the IDs, cookie IDs, declared IDs, CRM IDs, email IDs, whatever it might be. Use that to unite the data into a single person and resolve it to a single person, but use any of those IDs that I need to. Now, if I can do that with IDs, I can also do that with devices. So I can build up a device ID and understand the devices that the person is using, resolve those devices down to that user. Again, mixing those devices and the IDs together so I can bring that information down to a user. If I know who that user is now, then I know what segments they're going to belong to, so I can very quickly get to the kind of information that they are going to need. But in order to provide real-time context to that conversation that we're having, we need to have something that we call an experience event. Experience events are all the real-time click streams. It's the real-time behavioral information. It's everything that they've ever done with you across every channel and everything that you have done with that customer across every channel, all in a time series, so that I now know what were they looking at on the web yesterday? What was the last offer that I sent them by email? What was the last thing that they discussed with me when they came into the shop? All of those things become experience events that I can look up, and that gives me the context of why we're having this discussion with them, and also the history to allow me to make better personalization decisions or next best action decisions or whatever it might be at the end of the day. Now, I mentioned that this design of data governance needs to be there right from the start. We should be thinking of, how are we using that data? What am I going to do with it? How long do I need to keep it for? Because that enables us to be confident that when we use it further downstream, we're using data that we are actually allowed to use. So first of all, on data ingestion, as I'm bringing the data into my system, I need to know what that data is. So I should be labeling that data as it comes in. And therefore, I know this is PII information, this is social information, this is partner information, this is third-party information, this is financial information. Whatever it might be, label the data as it comes in, and therefore I know what that data is going to be. Now, closely linked with that is the idea of using a standard data model to standardize and normalize that data. So we can then link the data model together with the data labeling so that any information that comes in through that data model is by default labeled and then becomes really useful, as we'll see further on in the presentation. So data's got labels on, and the next thing we need to do is make sure that we've got consent for that data. Okay, so we shouldn't be collecting any data that we don't have consent for. But if they have consented, we need to be really clear on what it is that they have consented. So we write that consent in with the labeling so that we know that Steve Allison, my name, can be used anywhere where you talk to me, but my email address or my bank balance or whatever should only be used in specific circumstances that we can declare. Managing the consent in those labels allows you to get a granular knowledge about what data I can use in what circumstances. Of course, rights management is a vital part of this. Who has access to look up that information? Can you go in there and correct it? Can you delete it? All of those GDPR things that we know, but also internal security within your own organization. Who has the right to go in and view this data? And obviously, we can manage this through roles-based authentication and all that kind of stuff. And then finally comes the actual governance part of that, where we write the rules about what data we're actually allowed to share with other systems and how that data should be shared. So if it's my systems, then I can share all the PII information. If it's going to a third party or a system outside of my premise, then maybe you want to anonymize all of that data before it leaves your environment. We write those rules, we create those rules for everywhere where we share and use that data. And this gives us the ontology of the data that we need to be able to use downstream. Now, data grows all the time. The amount of data gets bigger and bigger, and we need the power of machine intelligence, machine learning, artificial intelligence in order to make this work effectively. But not just that, we need the system to get better and better. By 2022, Gartner reckons that more than half of all businesses will incorporate continuous intelligence into their real-time decision-making in order to make personalization work better. And by this, what they mean is the ability to capture information about what a user is doing, where are they, what are they doing, what have they just received, what have they just opened, and then use that information to then think, okay, what should I be doing next? What is the next step in this process that I want them to take? And then action, create the offer, create the recommendation, put that article in front of them or whatever else it might be. And then learn all the time from every decision it makes. Is this working? Why is it not working? What is working? Where do they go next? What happens next? Can I build that back into my model? What segments are being used? What servicing happens as a result of this? So a continuously evolving process is where the machine learning has a dramatic impact in building those real-time experiences. We can have the machine learning update itself in real time, make its calculations in real time, observe what happens next in real time, and therefore reassess, redetermine, redecide, reallocate whatever it might be, in order to make better decisions about what to do next or what the customer is likely to do next. So how are we feeding this data into the machine learning environment? Well, let's go back to my profile, my unified profile. We've got all the data here being updated in real time from the web, from the click streams, from all of those other business systems. As that data changes, the profile gets updated and it becomes the perfect food for your machine learning algorithms and your AI environments. So now we can start to build machine learning that recognize actions and likelihoods, that allows us to take measurements, etc., much easier because it's being fed that data in real time in a structured way that we know the ontology of, we know the consent of all of that data. Being able to model that in real time, work out those attributes and refine the process, that's powerful stuff. That helps with our planning. It helps us to understand what it is that I should be doing in order to convert customers, service customers, retain customers, whatever it might be. Should you be spending your money on YouTube? Should it be LinkedIn? Should it be Facebook? Or should you be doing it yourself through your applications? Where's the correct balance between where you should be putting your activity? Well, attribution modeling is a perfect way to find those answers, to see what makes the biggest difference for your users. And if we get it wrong, it doesn't matter. That's a great data point to make sure that the next time we get it better, we get it right, we learn. So the machine learning updated in real time as part of the profile, as part of our normal engagement with users, becomes a really powerful tool in helping us to create personalized and great experiences with our customers. It's also something that we can write back into the actual profile, because the output of those machine learning algorithms, the propensities, the churn scores, the recommendation scores, all those things, they're in the profile. So now I can use them when I'm finding my audiences, when I'm creating my segments. And my segments can now be very sophisticated. Find me people in this area who are interested in this product or this service, or who need this particular service, who have got this kind of device, and a propensity of over 80% to actually open this message that I'm about to send them. That's a powerful segment. If I can create a model with that kind of prediction built in, that's powerful stuff. That's a powerful way of targeting the right content to the right people at the right time, instantly able to look it up, instantly able to action it. So we see that ability to pull all of the data together and make it available to machine learning as being a really powerful part of a proper experience-focused business. And those machine learning algorithms, they might be the ones that Adobe provides. They might be ones that you have from other vendors. They might be ones that you build yourself. And that's actually quite an important notion. You need an environment where you can use generic digital marketing algorithms, and they might be useful and everything else, but you need to start to train those algorithms on your data, your models, your customers, your data, your processes, not generic training, but trained against your data. So even if you have a generic algorithm, if you train it against your data that's constantly being updated in real time from your customers, you're going to get much better results out of that. So again, part of this flow of the data that we have is that if you've got the profile, if you're able to bring all of that together, if you're able to bring that into the machine learning environment and train your people against it, your algorithms against it, then you're going to get an algorithm which actually responds in your business context far better than anything else. So let's bring all that together. We created a unified profile with all the customer data updated in real time from multiple systems and data sources. This frees the data from any single system and makes it standardized and normalized for sharing with other systems later on. We know what consent we have for that data, and we've labeled all the data items so that we know we are all using data that we are allowed to use. And that data is being shared to machine learning in real time and contains machine learning scores that help us to find the insights as the data changes. So you can now share the profile data, the insights, or any other data that you want with any other system via the data model and subject to the consent and usage model that we've already created earlier. What we have done to solve the 4 data hurdles to delivering real-time customer experience is to elevate the relevant data out of individual systems or data sources, standardize it, label it, add in consent and usage information, enrich it, make it available, providing the perfect environment to build customer experience applications or services or workflows or other microservices.
I hope you enjoyed that. If you would like to engage with the Adobe team to learn about how other customers are building themselves into experienced businesses or about our technologies, then please feel free to book a meeting via the app or ask for a post-event follow-up with either myself or my colleague, Carl Bergstrom. Our emails are on the screen at the moment. We'll be very happy to continue the conversation with you. In the meantime, thank you very much for your time today.